Hello. If you're coming into the office to dismantle your stand-up desk, we've left some of the tools that you'll need right behind Sonia's desk right here. And let me just quickly walk through these. So you'll need one of these Allen wrenches to take things apart. Take it with a Ziploc bag because you can use the Ziploc bag for some of the fasteners to kind of keep them together for your drive home. These desks, the actual frame is held to the bottom by these plastic kind of dowel rivets that you'll see when you have to take it apart. What happens is they have a little plastic dowel that you put into the pre-drilled hole, and then you put a pin in there so that when you push the pin down it actually spreads out the plastic, and that's how it gets its fastening force. And really, because it's attached to the table and you're pressing down on the table, there's never any real stress on those. They just kind of hold it in place. To get those out though, typically you need to kind of pry the little pin inside loose. You'll see what I mean in some of the remainder of the video. And there's two tools here. I think this one works the best based on the experience that I've had now taking one of the tables apart. And you just kind of try and squeeze in there a bit and then pry it up, and then you go and pry up the dowel again. Just follow the other instructions that I've provided. This one here also works. You can typically pry it up and then kind of pull it up that way, especially if you're pulling up the actual dowel part. It's got a lip as well, and you can get underneath that and then pull it up that way. Like I said, I think this one's better because it ends up leaving less marks on the metal if you're pulling it up from the metal angle iron that keeps the legs fastened to the table, which you'll see later as well. Please also don't hesitate to ask Jessica for the IKEA drawings for putting the table back together again. One final thing is please bring this with the case back to this table and put it back on the table when you're done for the next person to use. You will not need those tools to reassemble the table legs and the table. Good luck, and feel free to give me a shout if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye. Okay, what we have here is we've got these kind of screw plug rivets, or dowels they call them. You end up putting them in the hole all the way down, and then you put the plug in there and press it so that this comes out and forces a very tight contact and makes it a tight fit. These are a bit difficult to get rid of, so what I ended up doing is getting a tool for, I think they're typically used for for plastic rivets that they used to put upholstery and plastic molding and stuff like that around doors, etc. And that seems to work pretty well. So I'll just show it here. You get this underneath the pin, this pin part here, and then even if you get it a bit under, you can pull it up, and then you should be able to pull the other bit up as well. So we'll try and do it here. Hopefully you can see it. If you can kind of squeeze it in there a bit, enough that it gets a little bit, and you can see that it comes up. You can pull it up, then you lose it on the floor. And then I've also got another tool that's a part of this right here that's very thin, and you should be able to kind of squeeze underneath the actual plug and be able to pull the plug out. And there you go. The other thing that I would say is on the bigger tables where you see this centerpiece can probably stay on, then you don't have to take these plugs out, which are a little bit more difficult. But the other plugs you can all take out, and then you'll be able to take this whole table leg assembly off. As I'm doing this more, I'm actually noticing that you can just use this tool, very, very thin edge here, and try and get underneath the pin. You might have to kind of move it around a bit, trying to lift it a little until you get underneath it. You get the pin out, and then actually this should be pretty straightforward as well, and you can get underneath that and pry it up gently as well. That has the benefit of not scratching up the finish on the angle bracket as much as using the other pry bar. For these items here, you need to make sure that you actually press quite hard on this. You'll see that, and then it'll come out easily. There's a bit of a hook there. I'll show you one more time. Press on the end, pull it out. So only the larger, this is the underside of the table, only the larger tables have this middle support, the smaller ones don't need it. So I would suggest probably leaving this. Just be very careful that you're not rubbing this against stuff. You're welcome to try and take these things out the same way that we took the other plastic dowel rivets out. You can also take this off if you like, that might be a good idea. And then or just make sure that the cable's out, and be careful when you actually move the tabletop. And this is kind of what the base looks like. You should probably put the base down as far as it can go before you actually start disassembling.